right.
But
So just,
generally it's just to know what to do at a particular time, so we don't cause sorrow, we don't take sorrow. And
that's right. I mean,
yeah,
I think the first time I heard it, it was actually a personal meeting with someone, I think. And then I heard it in the Morley, where Baba had actually said to one of the senior brothers, I think, that is everyone content with you? And the brother was thinking about that, what to answer to Bapdada. And then Bapdada said that Baba gives that 5% margin. So he expects 95% that contentment. And then what I heard, although I'm not sure if I heard it directly from Baba, but I heard that Bapdada said that not everyone is even happy with Bapdada. So Bapdada gives a little margin to everyone as well. So yes, I think that's that point, that there's always going to be someone, but actually it's that 5% that teaches us the most.
yeah, we have to understand that we have to move on and be contented because we have no control over certain things. You know, brother, I wanted to ask a question this morning, if it's okay at this point. A Bhog offering. We like to do the Bhog offering, but I'm wondering if we're doing it correct, if we're using a correct method. Today is my daughter's 4th anniversary of passing, and I have everything prepared to do Bhog this morning for her. Last night I had a dream that was like a little bit disturbing. I dreamt her last night, and she was just, the light wouldn't go off. I was trying to take the switch off to turn the light off, and it wouldn't turn off. And she keeps doing that over and over. And I said to her, I said, Nadi, stop doing that. Why are you not letting me take the light off? And I woke up at that time, but I know I'm going to do Bhog offering. And it came to my mind, is she discontented in some way or the other? How do we go about doing? I have never heard a class on Bhog offering. I would ask about it, and it would say it's your personal relationship with Bapdada in the subtle region to offer Bhog. But are we doing this correctly? I don't know your views on that.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll put up a couple of classes then on the WhatsApp group, because there are, and I've even seen one in the New York channel that I think Mohini Didi gave on Bhog offering. So I will put a couple up that might help. Vikash, by Kavitaben, did you want to come in with an answer before I share some thoughts?
Not specifically, Pai.
Okay, so I think shall we have a look right back as to why we offer Bhog? So let's go from there. So I've heard many, mainly double foreigner brothers and sisters at the London Centre feel that Bhog offering is really something from Bhakti, not something that should belong in Gyan. So I have heard those perspectives as well. Why are we doing? Why are we having all these ceremonies? So that's why it is worth understanding the reason behind us doing these things. So Bhog was actually not offered until the 1950s. They would eat in Baba's remembrance, but there wasn't like a daily Bhog offering, maybe like special occasions, and maybe when a trance messenger is going, but not like a daily thing, not like a systematic thing. And then when they shifted to Mount Abu, what had happened was there was meant to be one of the daddy's relatives sponsoring, or a few of them sponsoring that move, and then they didn't in the end. And so there was this situation where the yagya had spent money, and then it resulted in a poorer state. And Brahma Baba had this question in his mind, that why? Why did this happen? Why would this happen to Shiv Baba's yagya? Because they were living in a very comfortable circumstance in Karachi. And then they came to India and it was much less comfortable. And as you all know, for about 20 years, the Dadis really achieved a lot with nothing really in India. And the conclusion that Brahma Baba came to was because they were not offering the food to Shiv Baba every day before offering, then what happens is there's a disrespect which results then in your own poverty. So he came to a very deep, energetic conclusion, because there is this feeling of God providing. And when you've actually got Shiv Baba's yagya, he says this to us. So it was in yesterday's morning, if you remember, that those living in the centers should keep the awareness that Shiv Baba is feeding them, Shiv Baba is looking after them. But also those who live at home and actually they're sponsoring Baba's work and they're doing other things for Baba. So they can also have that awareness that actually Shiv Baba is looking after them. So if we have that faith that Shiv Baba is looking after us, it's all him, and then you're not offering to him first. Brahma Baba's conclusion was there was something in that energy that created an obstacle there. So they began doing it in Madhubad in around 1952, 53. Then Daddy Janki, now mainly in Madhubad, they've always had trance messengers. So it'll be one sister who could go into trance, that would be mainly offering. But they also do it 3 times a day. So they began that, like they cook 3 meals a day, they will offer 3 times a day. Now, we're not expected to do that in our homes, or even in the centers. They don't do it 3 times a day. They might do it twice a day, maybe, but definitely once a day. And so when Daddy Janki was asked to go to Calcutta and help set up a center there, her question to Baba was, how could she offer Bhog? She wasn't a trance messenger. And so how could she do it? So Baba wrote back to her saying that you just make the Bhog in Baba's remembrance and then sit there with the tray and remember Baba. And instead of you going to the subtle region, Baba will come to you and accept the Bhog. So Daddy Janki has done it with that. Like, she loved cooking, and she, like, even when she left, one of the things that Baba said in the message was that this daddy especially loved cooking for the yagya, giving resources into the yagya, and then using those resources to feed everyone and give to everyone. She had this great enthusiasm that everyone should be getting something from the yagya. So the process of offering, it's like it's transformative, where you're offering those resources to Baba and then feeding others. So it gets filled with that energy. There's a transformative thing. And she felt that was very, very important. Then Didi Manmohini, who was like the manager really of the yagya, she felt that this should be rolled out in the centers as they were being established. So centers were told that they should do this. And they had then further discussions that should there be a time, what should we, like, do we offer the students the food every day? Like, how do we do this? And they came to the conclusion that it should be once per week, and sharing with the students. And if it's a main center, twice per week, on the holiday day, usually a Sunday or a Friday, depending where you are. So there was this thing of the students coming and contributing wealth now. So that had changed. It was now not Brahma Baba's wealth running everything, but it was Baba's children's wealth running everything. So the daddies and Baba, they felt there has to be like a circular thing, that the Brahmins are putting the money into the box. The sisters have to then make the food based on that money. They then offer it collectively to Baba, and then everyone accepts. So there's like, that money is coming back into the blood of the Brahmin. So there's something about that energy that's very important. And then questions arose about, when that should be done. So different centers were all doing this slightly differently, slightly different times of the week. And then in the 1960s, they settled on Thursday as the common day, because in Hinduism, Monday is the day of Shiva. So some were offering on Monday. But they decided that actually the day of the Sadhguru, because what comes up more in the Murli is like this importance of the omens of Jupiter. So Thursday is the day of Jupiter. So like, for example, in Latin, it's also Thursdays, Jupiter's day. In all of these things, like jeudi in French is Thursday. So that's the day of Jupiter. Here in English, the word Thursday comes from the Norse gods. One of the chief Norse gods was Thor, and so the name comes from that. But generally, in the Latin traditions, again, it's been Thursday. That's Jupiter's day. Similar in India too. So they decided on that, and then Sunday again for the big centers. So they there's this collective, like everyone is giving and taking. There's like a giving and a taking energy. That's part of the growth of everyone. Then if you think, we'd put up last year or the year before the Bhog messages after Mama left. And on that final day, Mama had actually come into the body of the trance messenger. And we read in the report there that the Madhavan Nivasis wrote that Mama stayed for some hours. And the first thing that she did, so she was in the body of the trance messenger, and she went on the tour of Pando Baba. And Baba took her to every department and asked Mama to advise the brothers and sisters in every department, because she was the mother of the yajna. So that energy flows through the departments. And the place where she spent most time was the kitchen. So when Mama was around, she, from Hyderabad right until 1960s in Pando Bhavan, she supervised what is being made, the menu, what's happening. Sometimes she would cook herself. And that day, I think her advice was that the Brahmins have been waiting for the whole cycle for Brahma Bhojan. So there's a memorial in Hinduism that the one thing the deities were not able to get in heaven was Brahma Bhojan. And so she said there is a great importance, and that whoever cooks in Madhuban must practice being in powerful remembrance. Not even ordinary remembrance will do, but it must be filled, every grain. And Lady Janki used to say that when Mama ate Brahma Bhojan, she would not even leave 1 grain of rice. She would use her little glass of water to put on the plate and then just drink everything. Like there shouldn't even be 1 grain, because that 1 grain is powerful. And so this is what she wanted to communicate. And what's flowing through that Bhog is Mama's energy as well, the mother of the Yajna. So it came up in the Bhog message for Mama's Day this year, like in 2022. And Baba said that wherever there's Babas, that he was noticing that you have Brahmins everywhere in the world. Most of them have never met Mama in the corporeal form, but everyone identifies with Mama and connects with Mama. And he said, I hadn't thought of this before, he said it's because Baba and Mama build the energy in the foundation of the yajna. And so now, wherever the branches of this tree grow, it still has that same energy of Mama running through. So you're connecting there with Mama as you do this. Like Baba was saying today, these are the parents of the world. And their energy, these 3 souls, these are feeding all. So your daughter's soul is their child. So you're doing it with that feeling of like Baba's been reinforcing with us these last 2 days, that all of you belong to this mother and father. And that's true for all souls. These are the world mother, the world father, and Shiv Baba is the father of the unlimited souls. So these 3 are the parent souls. So when we're offering Bhog, we are asking Baba to feed that soul wherever they are. And it came up in one of the Thursday Bhog messages just 2 or 3 weeks ago. I think it was the one from Shantivan, 2 or 3 Thursdays ago, where Baba said that at confluence age, these souls that you remember, for some it's relatives, it's other Brahmins, some it's whoever it is, they're very fortunate because Baba does emerge them in the subtle region and he feeds them. And he said that they then have that experience wherever that soul is in their body of a deep satisfaction in their heart. So Baba's feeding them subtly, and they have the feeling of just like a day of happiness and satisfaction. And that's how it manifests in their personal experience. And it was about 2000 or 2001, and I was in Panda Bhavan, and I'd had this thought. My Lokik father had left the body in 2000, and the soul that was really the main person who supported Ranjan Ben as I was growing up was Ranjan Ben's older brother. So my uncle Amrit, and he had left the body suddenly when he was 55. And since I was 16, I'd had more contact with my Lokik father. And I just was taking him to Baba Center, basically. So he had come and he'd met Daddy many times and had Raki many times. But he also left the body suddenly when he was 59 in the year 2000. And Uncle Amrit definitely did much more, really practically, but both of them contributed. And so I felt that I hadn't really given them a return. And one thing that was on my mind was a few months before he left the body. So I was still young then. So when you're young, you're not thinking as clearly as you do now. And my Lokik father had said he wanted to visit the Global Retreat Center. So I thought, yeah, okay, we'll get around, we'll get around to it. And then he left the body. And so I never took him. So I thought what I'll do is when I'm next in Madhavan, I'll ask Sister Mohini of Madhavan if it's okay to offer Bhog for these souls. And in my heart, I sat in Baba's room and I'd said to Baba that I want to say thank you to these souls. I also, I didn't take him to the Global Retreat Center. So if you can make sure in this next life he gets there, or, to any retreat centers, of course, wherever that soul is. And then I remember she used to stay in one of the rooms behind the history hall. So I was going and looking for her down the corridor of the history hall, and she came walking out. So I told her, and she just gave me drishti and said, I will tell Baba. I remember something like that. And then the next day was the Thursday, and Daddy Prakash Muni was meeting all of the Kumars in the history hall. So they sat on the sofas like long ways, sideways, sort of meeting. And then at the end, we were going and taking Toli and passing by the daddies. And Sister Mohini was the last one there. And she said to me that I gave Baba your message. And Baba told me to tell you that he has fed them with the feelings that you had in your heart. So I hadn't told anyone what was in my heart, but that meant something to me, that it gave me this faith that whatever's in my heart, Baba knows. It seems like an obvious thing to say, but then actually that really felt like something, because sometimes you feel like you can be a little distant, or, maybe Baba listens to the daddies or something. But at that time when he said, whatever's in your heart, Baba's fed them with that feeling. And so it was like a respect. There was like Baba respecting the children, the child's feeling. And I really appreciated that. So, we've always had a lot of great experiences with Bhog anyway, and you can tell that probably we're the main people over nearly everyone else that emphasizes the Bhog messages, listening to Baba and connecting everyone with that. And that's because over the years, we've had a lot of those types of experiences. Then 2003, we had moved to a town we left London, and my work took me to Oxfordshire. So we had purchased a house there. And Sister Jayanti kindly showed a picture of the house to Daddy Gulzar, and Baba sent a message then as well for us. And he said that the child Shailen has a great deal of courage and has bought a beautiful house for his mother. Keep your connection clear with Baba and with the seniors, and you will continue to move forward. Baba is very pleased with both of the children. And so again, that closeness there. Then in 2009, we were in Madhuban, and Baba sent a message then. That was through Sister Shashi. So we were called by her. And at that time, Baba said, he said something to me, but I can't remember. But I do remember him saying to Ranjan Ben that, I remember the body language of Shashi Ben, that his mother is so strong. Her faith and her strength has really just carried everything through. And then we had another one in 2012 when we were in Madhuban as well. Baba sent a message for us then as well. And I remember Baba saying something about me sitting in his lap and just playing. He sits in Baba's. Yeah, that was after my eyes began. I had 4 operations that year, and then I had all these. So Baba said he just sits in Baba's lap and plays down here. There was something like that. And said something to Ranjan Ben again. And so in this way, and then you all heard the message when it was Ranjan Ben's 40th anniversary as well. And Baba was saying to her as well, those things. And he said in that one to me that he will give me special, the Father gives me special cooperation. So that's really helped. And oh yes, there was that message when Ranjan Ben's brother left the body through COVID as well. So you'll remember that he said that he experienced no fear at the time of fear because Ranjan Ben's yoga power enabled him to leave the body easily, which is miraculous, isn't it? So what we've got with this is the act of Bhog is it's like a bridge. It's like we are putting our love into the food. We're putting Baba's remembrance into the food. And what's appearing in front of Baba in the Sata region is like food, because the food is a material thing. But what appears is that tray with the feelings. So that's, I think, what I wanted to communicate, that it's your feelings which is in the tray. So that's what Baba then responds to. He's looking at the heart. So I would say, Lynette Ben, in your daughter's case, it would make sense to me that that soul is hanging on, because not only were you her physical mother, but you, the soul, are the ancestor of all of these souls. So I think it's actually probably very common for every Brahmin to be subconsciously connected with so many souls. So they feel the light in your presence. And your job now is to share that powerful light and might so that the soul is empowered and can move on. It's only 4 years as well, so they're still very young, and they'll have more of a subconscious influence on them. When Devi Janki was in Karachi, she had had an experience where she's always been a good yogi, good student, accurate. And Baba says in the Murli, if you're doing everything according to Srimat, you have high intoxication, supersensory happiness. And she couldn't understand why her happiness had gone. She could feel there was something. So after a while, she decided she would go and talk with Mama. And she discussed it with Mama. And Mama offered some ideas like you would with like whatever Baba says in the Murli, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. Like if someone came to you and asked a question, you're going to offer your thoughts. But Daddy knew it was none of those things. So it just wasn't. She couldn't get the answer. So then she wanted to talk with Baba, and she got a chance to meet Baba personally, because it was something she didn't really want to share with anyone else. She just wanted to talk with Mama and Baba about it. So again, she talked with Brahma Baba, and Brahma Baba did the same. He offered some ideas like this. And Daddy just knew that none of those were the answer. And then after about 2 days, Baba called her to meet him again. And Brahma Baba had spoken with Shiv Baba about this. And Shiv Baba gave the insight. Because I think it was the Murli had gone, Baba had spoken about attachments and so on. And Mama and Baba had both said to her that, have you got any attachments anywhere or anything like that? And she was checking herself, and she couldn't see that she did have any attachments. She was pretty sure she didn't. So the answers that they were giving, that it's, maybe some attachment is taking away your happiness like that, it wasn't fitting. And so then she she went back to meet Baba, and Brahma Baba told her that the insight that Shiv Baba had given was that she has let go of the attachment to her relatives, but her relatives have not let go of the attachment to her. And this is what's taking away her happiness. There's a subconscious energy that is affecting her. So then she had special yoga for a period of time, because she was married, of course, so, and you can understand she had a child. She had not wanted to marry. She had already been attending the Murli, but she was forced to marry. And then she was in a suppressive marriage. And so she just had to leave one day. So it was all quite sudden. And you can imagine it's traumatic for everyone. And we as Brahmins, we take Baba's power and we move on. We got Baba's knowledge, we move on. But for souls who don't have Baba's knowledge, it's much harder to move on. So Baba said, you got to move them on. You got to help them to let go. So I've kept that in mind over the years, and I can think of different times where I've just had to have special yoga. And even now, where I know that I will feel it. So if, we've got different characters within our family, some with different types of illnesses. So what can happen is when you displease someone, they suddenly have this great storm of waste thoughts about you. And still now I sit with Baba because I can feel the weight of that in my chest. It's like, I haven't done anything. I haven't thought anything. I haven't done anything. But I know it's not me. But I still say to Baba, I was saying this to Baba just 5-6 weeks ago, that I feel embarrassed that I still don't have the yoga power, that nothing should affect me on the slightest level. So when I say that to Baba, then Baba just looks at me and goes, well, get on with it then. Why are you not developing more yoga power? Have more yoga. And so I think this is that lesson as well for you here, that you're offering the Bhog with that bhavna, but then I think you could do probably with dedicated yoga, maybe 30 minutes every day for 3 months. That would be my advice. And what you're doing is there's the account on your end is finished, but let's help that soul to finish their account with their past. We want that soul to be completely free, to have a fresh start. We do not want even subconscious a burden that then impacts subconsciously in that soul in their next life. So you are the double ancestor. Do you want to come back, Lynette?
What you just said, it's like it's everything I wanted to hear, everything I needed to understand, how I move on with this. Because offering Bhog is like I had a scattered mind. I was like everywhere at the same time. I didn't understand what I needed to do. But you clarified that to such an extent that it's, I know exactly what I need to do now. And I appreciate that so much. And I thank you.
A pleasure. And on our end as well, we will, I will every day also spend a few moments for that soul and for you and support. So it's all a collective, of course. We all Brahmins just have to support each other. And let's just help all souls, as Baba says. Jagita Ben, hello, you've come on the screen. Did you want to come in?
Though just want to say Om Shanti, everyone.
Great to see you. Om Shanti. Vikash Bhai, Kavita Ben, Cicely Ben, did you want to come in on this topic at all?
Not specifically, but the thought came to mind. Besides the nice clarification that you gave, a lot of insights, the thought came to mind, is there a difference between Bhog and offering every meal that you eat? Because we offer every meal, even the snack, anything that we eat, we offer. And we try to eat as much as possible in remembrance of Baba. Is there a difference between offering your daily food and offering Bhog? Because Bhog, then I usually think of the special prasad that we make, that's made at the center and that is offered. And indeed, in the beginning, I also had the thought, isn't this a little bit bhakti? Like what you said, it also came to me in the beginning. But yeah, when you read more and ask more, and like you explained, you get the subtle understanding of what is actually going on, because of course Baba doesn't eat the prasad. It is more the subtle feelings and intentions that we offer. But the question that came just to mind is, is there a difference between offering your daily meal and the Bhog itself that we usually do on Thursday and Sunday and the special occasions?
Yeah, no, I don't think there's a difference as such. What Baba has said to us is he wants us to cook one thing each day, at least. And then I've also heard him say that once in a week, because obviously some Brahmins are very busy and they can't necessarily they don't even make a full meal for themselves each day. Like, I mean, if I'm cooking for myself, I will make one thing, usually in about 30 minutes or 40 minutes. And then offer that, right? But he will expect us once in a week to at least have a full meal that he offers. And that's part of this whole, he's going to make sure we got food till the end. You know, that's all part of this. He encourages us to create karma with him. So then that karma comes back to help us. That's the idea. Then in the center, it's more of the collective Bhog. So the idea there is that you're connecting directly into the yagya there. And it's this sort of collective energy, but you know, it's not so much of a difference there. So the idea is that you're doing it. Hopefully you've all got a Bhog tray at home with a Bhog cloth. If not, you should get one separately. The snacks and that you don't need to, like you say, it's just, that's more of a case of practicing your remembrance and soul consciousness. And the idea there is that all of these elements have vibrations of the Iron Age. And, you know, the whole chain of energy, by the time it's grown to arriving on your plate, there's so many vibrations, right, along the chain. So what Baba says is that will then cancel out vibrations if you do it in Baba's remembrance. So I don't see anything particularly different. We've got to replicate. Daddy Janki used to visit everyone's homes, all of the regular students at the London Centre, and take a Bhog tray and a Bhog cloth. So she would be expecting that with everyone's home, it began offering that Bhog properly from each day. So that should be happening.
Very clear.
Thanks, Vikash. Bhai. Cicely Benham Shanti.
Om Shanti. Like the sharing. A couple of things came up for me as you were sharing. And as you said, as it relates to the attachment thing, and I use Baba's knowledge to detach from everyone and everything. But now you got me thinking that I believe that they have not detached from me, not only family, but also friends. I got a very emotional phone call from a friend of mine in New York a couple of days ago, and it was Amrit Vela. I shared with her about Amrit Vela, and she showed me a picture of the time. It was like 3:30, good time. And she was just very emotional, just saying how I'm so awesome and the amazing things that I'm doing. I'm spreading light wherever I go. And she was just got very, and she just, I love you. And she was so emotional. And I realized that there's many of them all over the world that are very attached to me. But I'm just like, I use Baba's knowledge. It's I do service and Shanti. I don't hold anything anymore. Even when my mom and dad left the body, nothing. Everyone said they looked at me and how I was so powerful. They got power from me because they saw how stable I was when they both had left the body. But the other thing I was listening to as it relates to Bhog offering, I remember when I was in a very serious auto accident in America, and car rolled over and everything. It was in the news. It was a big thing. And they had sent Bhog from me from the center. A brother came to the hospital and he bought Bhog dishes, offered Bhog in the hospital with me. And I was in a lot of pain. Nothing serious happened to me. I had just come from Madhuban and was all excited and everything. And I was in this auto accident. And he bought the Bhog trays and offered Bhog in the hospital. And I tell you, the minute I ate that Bhog, the pain went away. Immediately, I had no pain. And I had called Sister Mohini to share my story about the accident, just for her to give me good wishes and stuff like that. And she had shared about it in the class, about our conversation. And I told her about the Bhog and how the pain had gone. And she said 3 things. It was my love for Baba, my love for self and love for the family. And that's why the Bhog had took the pain away from my body. So yes, I'm just really getting a lot from what you're sharing and just recalling some of the things in my own mind as it relates to things that are happening. And even for my dad, when my dad left the body, because he had the knowledge and he was practicing very lovely in his own way. And we had asked Sister Mohini to offer Bhog for the soul. And I brought my family there as well to Harmony House. And she brought back the message that he was contented. The soul was contented. So that really sort of gave me a lot of, I knew he was, but that was just like the icing on the cake to say that the soul was contented. So Om Shanti. Thank you.
That's a wonderful insight. So thank you for sharing that story. That is important, isn't it? How that helps at the time of need. And yeah. Rajaban, you want to come?
Yeah, Daddy Janki often used to say that sometimes, if Baba's food purifies the heart, and that's why she loved feeding, and she always did it. It was no problem, even, as you all have experienced, she always loved that. And also, it's good to give drishti to water also. She always said, because, one day the water will be so pure, polluted or something, always give drishti anyhow, and everything. So, like you say, Vishal Bhai gives to it's good. It's a good practice. So, it helps us, and if others will benefit also. And food, prasad, always people are happy to have and respect. And Daddy always said it helps, like you say, your pain went. Daddy always said that, it heals. She always sent food to the hospital, whoever was unwell, no matter how far. And so Daddy always said that really cures helps to cure, helps to heal, because it's Baba's power. Baba's. I think Sheila Bin had a hand up.
I'm sure she'll come in if she wants to. Okay. Shayla? Okay. So, but Cicely Ben's given me a nice segue also into the morally that we're going to hear now, because this whole point of attachment, this other's attachment to us as well, is something probably we don't think about as much as our attachment to others. But what comes across when Brahma Baba left is Shiv Baba making this comment that part of becoming karmati is the ability to be surrounded by loved ones and be detached. And he makes this comment about Brahma. You know, who is more loved than Brahma? I mean, how can you be more attached to anyone than everyone was to Brahma? And it wasn't that he ran away to some corner and then became karmatit, right? He lived in the middle of all of that. He was supervising building projects. He was looking after many things. Even on that day, 18th January, he was writing letters. He spoke that final Murli on the evening, and then he left. So today is the anniversary of the first Avyakt Murli. So Brahma Baba left us on the 18th of January, 1969, and changed his form and became the angel Adam, and he is with us now in a very powerful way, in that angelic form. But we as a yajna, as a family, are much more resilient now, aren't we? We're much more experienced and powerful. But as you hear the Murli today, take your mind back to 1969. You know, what was it like for those brothers and sisters who never anticipated that there could be a yajna without Brahma Baba here? They thought that when Shiv Baba said, you'll all be going back together, that meant Brahma would be here till the end, and they'd all go back together. Daddy Gulzar used to say that she never even thought she'd have to go and set up a center. She just thought she'd be living with Mama and Baba, and then they'd all just go up to the soul world and go into heaven. And it was just such a surprise for her when she was asked to leave Motherland and go and do something separate from Mama and Baba. So Mama had left 3.5 years previously. That was a surprise. But then Brahma Baba got it. That was a huge surprise. So those 3 days were a big test paper for the Brahmin family, probably the biggest test paper for the Brahmin family at that time. And people were having many questions. And of course, for many, how do we meet Shiv Baba? Will we ever hear a Murli again? You know, these were the questions that were happening. What's going to happen now in the future? Now we've become used to it, haven't we? Because all the daddies, and nearly all of them have gone. So we're used to this now. And we're used to Shiv Baba and Brahma Baba running everything from the subtle region. But they were not at that time. So Daddy Gulzar had gone first into trance on the evening of the 18th. And a few weeks ago, I put up the link to those trance messages, and you can revisit those. We've got a playlist on the YouTube channel of those trance messages, and everything was becoming, the questions were coming, and Shiv Baba had said that he will come and meet everyone after the funeral. So they telephoned everywhere. Brahmins were arriving from all directions. And I'll put up some photos on the WhatsApp group of the funeral and of the funeral day. So they did this with Mama's body as well, but they did it with Brahma Baba's body. They only really had one hall in those days, the history hall. And they put Baba's body at the back of the history hall, the opposite side of the Gadi. And they put ice around it, and then it was embalmed, and then they decorated with flowers and things. So from the evening of the 18th until the 21st, the body was there in the history hall. And then they spoke with the local governance there in Mount Abu to get special permission to have the funeral within Baba complex. For Mama, they had to take to the crematorium, and they had a great procession through Abu for that. But they felt for Baba, it needed to be on Baba's land. This is Shiv Baba's chariot. This is Prajapita Brahman. And the government gave the permission. So where you see the Tower of Peace now, that was the sports ground, the open ground. And that is where the Tower of Peace is where the cremation occurred. So they took the body from the history hall there, and Shiv Baba had sent the message that it would be Dada Vishwarathan, one of the brothers from 1939. He would act as the sun, and he would light the fire. And so it's been an emotional day for everyone. You know, when we finally actually are saying farewell to Brahma Baba. And then everyone has showered and then gathered to offer Bhog in the history hall at about 6:30 p.m. And Daddy Gulzar has gone up into the subtle region. And this is a unique Murli because only Shiv Baba comes to speak. Usually Bab Dada comes. But you'll hear in the Murli that Shiv Baba says that if he brought Brahma Baba, everyone would just begin crying. So he decided that he's the only one who's going to come today. And you'll hear the authority of the father. This morning we were hearing about how Shiv Baba becomes the mother and father when he combines with Brahma. So you'll really hear that father come across, empowering, like, come on everyone, get a grip. And you'll get this tone coming through in the Murli with a lot of love, but with authority. What's nice about this Murli is sometimes Brahmins ask, well, who said we should be hearing the Murli every day? Who said we should be repeating these Murlis from the 1960s? Who said we should be coming to Madhaban? Who said we should be listening to the daddies? And you'll hear that it's all in this Murli. Baba basically sets everything up in this Murli as to how things have to run from now on. Last week we read the 25th, do you remember 25th January? Murli, a few days, just 1 week later after Baba left, and Baba was setting up Amrit Vela. Do you remember he said that the atmosphere of Amrit Vela has dipped and everyone needs to now make sure that they get that up again. So in these, just in these few weeks, Baba set everything up. He then had said only this one Gulzar, he's going to come through her and talk and speak to all of us. So I'll hand over to Ranjanben now, and she'll walk you all through the Murli. And excuse me if I've got to just get up in between. I've got to just deal with one or two things, and then I'll pop back.
And then, like you say, ashes are there. That's why we have Tower of Peace. And on the 23rd January, Baba, there's a Murli, we'll read it sometime. We'll read the ashes are to remind you of the stage.
We'll read that next week.
So we'll read that next week.
I'll tell that story next week.
And also there's a message of the 22nd.
Yeah, we've recorded all.
But we have, okay. So today's Murli, like, on the 25th, so Baba is responding because we read 25th, and so I explained that Baba promised it during the Bhog message, because the lots of them weren't prepared and had lots of questions. So Baba promised that Baba will respond, and this is the Murli in a form of a response, and also to explain what will happen, because lots of questions were there. So I'll just start now.
But let me ask you all before Ranjanben starts, what do you think is the main topic of this Murli? What would it be? Where would Shiv Baba focus? Given all of that.
I believe he will focus on helping you to grow and understanding you can still communicate with Brahma Baba through him in the subtle region, and there should be no grief.
Oh. Great.
That's
anyone
feeling on it?
Yes,
Very good,
Shayla Ben saying yoga. Thank you. Anyone else? What would, imagine, this is Shiv Baba as a father, really as a father, okay? What would your father come and tell you after your mother's left?
I would believe he'd bring a lot of love.
Yeah.
A lot of love.
Well, actually, Baba's focusing on power and faith. So this topic is about faith. So Baba's question is, where's your faith? Who have you got faith in? And so, you told me, you got faith in me. I'm here. What are you crying about? So Baba's actually empowering, and he's giving power as the father to everyone's emotions.
And also Baba, like Lynette said, Baba said, there's no time limit or anything. You can come and go in such a region, and there's the state and the stability. And so now Baba is an angel, and you promise Baba, we will go with you. So Baba hasn't completely said goodbye, but Baba is there. So for us to practice and grow up and take responsibility, the father, even in Lokik world, the father retires because so that the children can grow up and hands over the business or the household responsibility. Same way Baba has given us, and this is what Baba will explain. And Baba has said, and so Baba said that you promise, so you become stable and you become angelic like Baba, and the Amritvela atmosphere. Amritvela, irregular, is very important, and Murli. So anyway, I'll start now. This is the Avyakt Baptada, 21st January, 1969. And Baba says, Baba renounced the body, but not his hand and his company. So that's the title of this, that Baba renounced the body, Brahma Baba, but not his hand and his company. And you look at the Kalpa tree, at the bottom Baba is doing tapasya, but at the top he's still waiting for us all to go back. He's waiting for us with his open arms. So this is what Baba means, that but not his hand and his company. So Murli spoken on the evening of 21st January 1969. Baba says, are all of you sitting in the Avyakt form? Whilst in the corporeal form, you have to stabilize yourself in the Avyakt stage. When you remain stable in the Avyakt stage, there will not be any upheaval in that stage. The part being enacted at the present time is the method to make all of you Avyakt very quickly. There is no need for fluctuation. At the beginning, the establishment of the yagya took place suddenly. When you came at the beginning of the establishment of yagya, all of you were made to write a letter of your faith. You used to write about having the faith that even if Brahma Baba were to go away, your stage and your faith would remain unshakable. Do you remember those letters of faith? Faith means there isn't the slightest form of doubt in any situation or at the time of any obstacles. Situations have to change and they will continue to change. But all of you sing the song. What do we sing? It says in the inverted comma. Even if the world changes, we will remain constant. It's a Hindi film song even. It's a romantic song, promising each other. What's the song?
Yeah, so yeah, that's right. That's me. They
Nabadlenge Hum is something like that. I won't be able to remember quickly, but it's a film song. So anyhow, even if the world changes, we will remain constant. And so do all of you who are sitting in today's gathering have such faith in the intellect? Your mama always used to tell all of you that all the supports that your faith has had up until now will be removed, and that even after having had them removed, the foundation should still be strong. If the foundation is not strong, the supports are necessary. Which supports? You must not let go of Baba's support, the family's support, or that of the disciplines of the family. So three kinds: Baba's support, family's support, or that of the Maryadas, code of conduct and disciplines of the family. Faith must not be broken by the testing sins that come in front of you. Faith is unbreakable. It cannot be broken even if someone tries to break it. Those with such faith in the intellect are the garlands around Baba's neck. Is Brahma your most beloved one? So now Baba is asking. Baba said, first, those with such faith in the intellect are the garland around Baba's neck. And now Baba is asking, is Brahma your most beloved one? It isn't that he was, but that he still is. So Baba is still waiting in the subtle region for us. Did he not say this to all of you? All the things have been said. To remember them at the right time is fast effort. Just remember them. He used to tell all of you children that to make you strong. Bap Dada has decorated the children so much. And so, have the children not yet worn all the decorations? A day has to come when you would remember those decorations from Bap Dada, means all the powers, virtues, sustenance, everything. So Baba said, so this applies to us now while we are listening to this. Today, Bap Dada is speaking to us, giving us extra tuition, reminder, whatever. So just sit with that concept, Baba, and then imbibe. The Bap Dada telling us now. So Bap Dada has decorated the children so much, and so have the children not yet worn all the decorations? A day has to come when you would remember those decorations from Bap Dada. That time is now, because he is egoless and humble. He himself used to tell many children, I have not yet become complete. I have not yet become constantly soul conscious. This is what Baba used to say to the children whenever they asked him. So Baba was so humble. And Baba says, all of you must have noted something else through your own experience of his last 3 to 4 months. You must have attained the fortune of meeting him personally and experiencing that Brahma was no longer a corporeal being, but that he had attained the Avyakt angelic form. So, we have listened to the experiences of Brahma Baba, and we hear from the brothers and sisters that, you feel that Baba was, and also we are Avyakti born, mouth born progeny of Brahma Baba from experience. We all have experienced that Baba in an angelic form. So that is what Baba is saying. That a few years ago, Brahma would listen to little matters. He used to give you time. But what did you see recently? The reason for him not listening to these little matters was that he was spending that time in constant remembrance. Didn't you children notice that a shining star was visible sparkling on his forehead? Those who were stable in the Avyakt stage knew and recognized the Avyakt form. Those who themselves were not stable in the Avyakt stage did not fully recognize the invaluable jewel. So Baba is now teaching us to become Avyakt in order to have this experience and also having to have Avyakt meetings with Baba. So if we are in the same Avyakt stage like Baba, we will experience and appreciate, fully recognize the invaluable jewel. Even now, the task of establishment is Brahma's, not yours. Even now, you children will be sustained through Brahma. Brahma's part will continue until the end of the establishment. So this is Shiv Baba talking to us with authority, with fatherly love and authority. You children must now be wondering how there will be study through Brahma now. In fact, because of your stage, the questions of why and what, etc., should not arise. So, like we mentioned the word grow up and responsibility taking. This is what Baba is saying. Therefore, we shouldn't have all these questions, should not arise why, what. Never mind just questions. Within some children, an ocean of upheaval has begun. So some children had ocean of upheaval. That's what Shiv Baba pointed out and noticed. Only a few have passed this first paper. So in 69, it was the first paper without Brahma Baba being in the corporeal world. And have a little patience. Now Baba is giving us patience. Since the knowledge is imperishable and the study is imperishable, why is there the fluctuation of questions? All this is being explained to you to finish the upheaval. Class will continue as it has been up to now. What will be spoken? The body of Brahma had been fixed, and so the Murlis that were spoken through that body will always be the Murlis. The little service that takes place through the trans messengers cannot be called Murlis. That does not have the magic of the Murlis. There is magic in the Murli of Bap Dada. So you have to revise all the Murlis that have already been spoken. Post will continue to be sent to the main centers from Abu as always. So at that time, they used to come by post and by sea every, well, we didn't get it for a month, like it took a long time, but Baba reassured everyone that post will continue to be sent to the main centers from Abu as always. Do you remember the Murli that was spoken a year ago? Means Baba says, some might say, oh Baba, but those are, but Baba is asking, do you remember that Murli of 1 year ago. You probably do not even remember the Murli you read yesterday. Some points are such that even though you read them many times, they don't stay in the intellect. This is why the connection through Murlis and letters will remain as it was. You will come to Madhuban to be refreshed as you have been. Now the question arises, what will you do? Who will you come to meet? How will you be refreshed? You must have a close connection with the lucky stars. So that in bracket, it says, those who are the main instruments, and bring the results of your center, any problems, whatever progress there has been to those instruments in Madhuban, and also bring to Madhuban the new flowers, means new students, new Baba's children that have blossomed in the garden in order to give them a vision of the gathering. Together with this, Bap Dada will serve fully through the trans messenger who is fixed. Are there any more questions? So it was then, and we all have been to Madhuban and we have experienced this. And now, of course, it's via Zoom. And even then they are going and experiencing. So Baba has asked us, our task is to give them sustenance, and we are seeing how they are being sustained, and we still have Murlis, Avyakt Murlis. So now Baba is asking, are there any more questions? You must be thinking that people will say that your Brahma has gone away in less than 100 years. Because in Baba's, one Murli Baba said the confluence is of 100 years or something. And this is what, some say Baba was born in 1876. And in 1976, Baba would be 100 years old. And but Baba went, 6 years, is it? Yes, 69 and 7. Yeah, 7, he was 93 when Baba became Avyakt. So he went 7 years earlier than 100. He wasn't completely 100. And this is why Baba is pointing out. But you must be thinking that people will say that your Brahma has gone away in less than 100 years. This is a very easy question. It's not difficult. His age was nearly 100. The fact that 100 years have been mentioned is not wrong, Shiv Baba says this. If there are many left, he will complete them in the angelic form. So even this Baba has explained that, Baba has gone there so that we are matured, we become responsible and take over, and then Baba will sustain us from there. And Baba said in one message that, here it takes so long, the body needs a lot of, but when you are angel, you don't need all that. And so even now, Dadis and Baba, and they are serving everyone so fast, with a fast speed. And so Baba said, this is why Baba is saying that those 7 years, Baba will make up for it. So if there are any left, he will complete them in the angelic form. The part of establishment through Brahma is for 100 years. Those 100 years have to be completed. But until then, after the part of physical Brahma, the part of the Brahmins has now to continue. Why did Brahma create Brahmins? Will Brahma not see his own creation in the future? Will he not give you the crown of responsibility at the confluence age? Otherwise, how will you become the deities of the golden age? All the responsibility here lays the foundation for there. This is why give the reply to whoever asks you, children, questions that the establishment through Brahma has to continue. So Baba gave us the answer, what to say to people. The time of the end of the children's study has come very close. We can see that now. This signal has been given to you in each Murli since Mama left. So that is 24th June 1965, Mama left, and Baba has been giving us the signal. This signal has been given to you in each Murli since Mama left. Is one given the date or moment of a paper beforehand? If you were told about this beforehand, would that be called a paper? You know, even in schools, they don't give us the question paper beforehand. They are kept under security, very strict security. So, and because they are exam papers, otherwise they won't be called examination papers. Baba says, a paper is that which takes place suddenly. What did Baba see in the result? No one passed fully. So Baba gave the result. No one passed fully. There was a little weakness seen in each one. Even then, it is very good because this is still the time for efforts. According to that, the result can only be said to be good. But both Bap and Dada were pleased about one thing. What was that? Still Bap Dada were pleased. What was that? Children gave the proof of both a gathering and of love. Brahma was seeing from the subtle region how everyone was when they came, the intoxication with which they came, and in what stage they were meeting. Both Bap and Dada together were seeing this result. So each one should see the self and remove the weaknesses from within the self. So Baba has been saying, turn inwards and check and see the weaknesses and remove. And all of you know who is the instrument for all of you from today. Didi is the main one already, and Kumarka, that is Dadi Prakashmani, is her helper. All the administration will be carried on from the headquarters as it has been. So we all know it's Madhuban is our home, our headquarters. Both of them will continue to look after all of you. Is there a need? If there is a need, they will continue to tour your centers. But what is the paper now? What paper came suddenly? That paper came suddenly. But now you are being told about the paper that is yet to come. So the Baba left suddenly, and so that paper came suddenly. But Baba said, but now we are being told about the paper that is yet to come. Now come into relationships with unity, whilst being introverted and stable in the Avyakt stage. Bap Dada will see the result of the paper he is telling you about. Everyone must have heard and must also remember the teachings given at the end through the body of Brahma. So today you have come into this gathering to give something and to take something. So are those who have come to take ready to give something? Because remember in the Murli of 18th, last Wednesday was the 18th. After the Murli, there was a Baba's class, wasn't there? So Baba gave that last class, and like Nirakari, Nirvikari, Nirankari, those three words, you know. incorporeal, viceless, and egoless. And so, and there was a class, Baba's class also. Baba is reminding us that as well. Everyone must have heard and must also remember the teachings given at the end through the body of Brahma. So today you have come into this gathering to give something and to take something. So are those who have come to take ready to give something? Those of you who have the thought in your heart that you don't know what is going to happen, that nothing serious will happen, raise your hands. If all of you are content, then those who take something will also be content in giving. Today, you have to give the donation of 2 things in the midst of the gathering. What are those 2 things? Can you guess? One main thing is that from today, you must not see, hear, or keep within your heart the defects of others. So don't listen to the defects of others. If your attention is drawn to something about any sister or brother, you can ask the ones who are the instruments to give them a signal. So don't correct them, don't do it yourself, but ask senior, like when Mama was there, everyone there used to go to Mama and tell her, and Mama will see to that child or whoever. And so Baba says, don't go, one main thing is that from today you must not see, hear, or keep within your heart the defects of others. If your attention is drawn to something about any sister or brother, you can ask the ones who are the instruments to give them a signal. Secondly, in order to shake your faith, some people will say things and raise the sound that now they will see how this institution carries on. You know, especially those in the beginning, the Sindhi families and those who, all those daddies were young and they surrendered, and their lokiks were telling them not to, because they said, what will happen if something happens to Baba and you won't be looked after and all that. And we can see now, we understand this more because we have seen with our own eyes how everyone is so happy. We have seen most of the daddies, and we are still seeing the yagya going on, powerful. So this is what Baba gave us, cautioned us them and warned them that all these test papers will come. So be prepared. Secondly, in order to shake your faith, some people will say things and raise the sound that now they will see how this institution carries on. However, those people do not know that your support is imperishable. And when anyone tries to shake you, you must also pay attention to this. There is the praise of a kalpa ago of your being, unshakable like Angad, Angad. So he was the crown prince, and he was in the army of the Rama, the god they call, Ram of Silver Age, the god, but not that god. They worship him, and they worship even Angad, they praise him. But it is the memorial of us not shaking our faith at all, no matter what happens. And real Rama is Shiv Baba. And so Baba is reminding us of our praise of Kalpayago, of your being unshakable like Angad. Means no matter how, the support is so strong, the foundation is so strong, no one can shake or break. They were unable to move even his foot. Only those children who have such faith in the intellect and who are unshakable and constant will pass in the last paper that is yet to come. So Baba has already given us the question paper. Now we have to be ready to pass. There are all these Brahmins that have been created through Brahma. So does a father not retire? So now Baba is saying that, asking us that there are all these Brahmins that have been created through Brahma. So does a father not retire when the children have grown up? So now just think that Baba in that retired stage is with you, having given you children the task, he will continue to observe. He left the body, but he did not let go of the hand and the company. He has not let go of the hand and the company of the intellect. So Baba's hand is there, and our intellect, our hand of intellect is with Baba. Baba hasn't let go. So today Baba is calling hand of intellect. That will remain constantly and eternally. The two things that you have been told are, firstly, to give the donation of not fluctuating. So even now, if there's fluctuation, you can emerge Baba, be with Baba, and you can give this weakness, or now even. So Baba was, even that time, was asking them to hand it over to Baba, any weaknesses. And so give the donation of not fluctuating, and secondly, to give the donation of not seeing defects. If all the children pay attention to these two things, now you remember, then because you have had the thought, that is, you have given them away, and anything that is given away in thought is never taken back. Even if Maya tries to make you take it back, you check yourself and then you will pass. So once you give a donation, it's really bad luck. It's very bad to take it back. Even in bhakti, nobody would give it. If they do, then, it's considered bad luck. So Baba is here, is the donation of the weaknesses, and because Baba wants us to be powerful and royal. Your attention is being drawn to one more thing. The teachings that you have received in the last Murli, that Bab Dada spoke about having too many visions and too much trance being a waste of time. Even in Sakar Murli, it was about 2-3 weeks ago, that not to, have, it's not Gyan, and there's a danger of, having Maya. But Baba is reminding us that, and not to expect too many visions, or experiences. So Bab Dada spoke about having too many visions and too much trance being a waste of time. This is why that should not happen. It shouldn't be that you are not able to verify the parts being played by the trance messengers at the centers. This is why you will receive directions through whichever trance messenger, Didi and Kumarka, who are the instruments, appoint as instruments. So Baba is warning us as well, because even now there are, and so there's an official appointed trance messengers, like especially 4, like Mohini Ben of New York for us, Europe, and for us. And then Vedanti Ben is in Africa, and for everywhere actually. But and at the present, Madhuban Shashi Ben we'll hear the messages, and Rukmani Ben in Shantivan. And then there are a couple, they have permission, those, but otherwise there's too much, and especially nowadays there's too much information on this, and so we have to be very, careful. That's why Baba is pointing out. So you are not able to verify the parts being played by the trans messengers at the centers. This is why you will receive directions through whichever trans messenger Didi and Kumarka, Dadi Prakashmani, who are the instruments, appoint as instruments. For this part also, the significance will be clarified by whoever they make the instruments. In the last Murli, there was the direction that to go into heaven at the time of offering Bhog is a waste of time, because that isn't the time to be wandering around. Now you have to give the proof of constantly staying on the pilgrimage of remembrance and inculcating the teachings that you have received in your practical life. So Baba is saying, stay in constant remembrance and inculcate what Baba says. Remember, Baba said to remembrance should be like every breath. We can't live without a breath. So experiment. You can't live without Baba's yoga, proper yoga, remembrance. If you have love for Brahma Baba, what is the sign of love? To shed 2 tears is not love. But for you to have love for the things loved by Brahma can be called love. So whatever Brahma Baba loved, we need to follow him, his steps of, to follow. We had the whole month, everything. So that can be called love. He had love for service. He gave the proof of service even at the end. And so love means to have love for service and to have love for his directions, maryadas, code of conduct, disciplines. This is called love. However, none of you should have the thought of not knowing why Baba called Sakar Baba into the subtle region without his taking leave from you. For if he had taken leave, would you have let him go? So Baba explained and gave the answer that you wouldn't have let him go. Therefore, consider this to be the system of the Brahmin clan within the drama. Whatever system was fixed in the drama continues. Baba understands that all of you had a lot of love for Sakar Baba. It isn't just that you had, but that you still have. If you did not have love, how could you be in this gathering? In the corporeal form, you only had his body to follow. And so why should you not have love? You had love then, and you also have love now. This is the sign of the relationship between the father and the children. Because of this, Sakar Baba, what is Sakar Baba doing in the subtle region, do you think, listening to this? This is, Baba says, this is the sign of the relationship between the father and the children. So what do you think, Baba, Sakar Baba? Because of this, Sakar Baba is smiling in the subtle region. So Baba is smiling. Since the children have love, don't I have love? So Baba is asking us, don't I have, Brahma Baba, Sakar Baba, don't I have love? But he knows that whatever part takes place in the drama is beneficial. he does not get disturbed. So Baba is firm in his in his faith in drama being beneficial. So he's teaching us that have the faith, firm faith in drama also. No matter what happens, it's beneficial. There's look for the benefit in it. He does not get disturbed. Don't shake, don't get disturbed, but look for the benefit and a lesson. And keep Baba in front. How would Baba react? How would Baba learn to, what lesson would Baba give me and learn? He was the one who was completely perfect, unshakable, immovable, and stable. So he was completely perfect, unshakable, immovable, and stable. And he remains there, constant, he remains there. But he has 1,000-fold greater love than you children have. So he has a lot of love for all of us. You now have to give the proof of love. Now Baba is asking for the proof. This is a game to remain hidden. So churn the ocean of knowledge. Do not churn the upheavals. Baba says, keep your mind busy with the ocean of knowledge. Churn. Do not churn the upheavals. Put the power that you have received into a practical form. If you churn the upheaval, it will be waste of time and you won't get powerful. Whereas if you imbibe knowledge, put the power that you have received into a practical form. The slogan at the end is, the mothers of Bharat are the incarnation of Shakti. You know, Shakti army, Shakti, it's a very common Shakti word in the world now. Everybody uses that. Son shows the father. Whatever is fixed in the drama will make this happen. Sakar Baba said that he will come to celebrate meeting with the children. If he had come today, so Brahma Baba is talking, Shiv Baba is talking about our Brahma Ma. If the mother had come with the father, but today only Shiv Baba decided, you know, and you saw the authority of the father, teaching of the father, love of the father, how he was handing over to us. And so this is why Baba came alone, and now Baba is saying that whatever is fixed in the drama will make this happen. Sakar Baba said that he will come to celebrate a meeting with the children. If he had come today, you would be shedding tears. You know, we would have cried. So Baba says, that's why only Baba came to prepare us, teach us. And so Baba says that Sakar Baba, Brahma Baba will come to meet. Acha. And now we will read these Bhog messages. You know, couple of when Shailan Bhai is here and when he has more time. And now it's 10 to 1 in London. It's 10 minutes to 1 in the afternoon. So I think we just say Acha and we say, you know, we remember Baba. And Baba says, Meethe meethe bacche. I keep forgetting the English today.
You can say it in Hindi.
To the sweetest, beloved, long lost and now found children, love, remembrance, and namaste from Bapdada. And we all children say namaste
Baba.
to Bapdada. And remember. I'm sorry, I sometimes get forget.
The language is not important. The language of the feeling is the same. So would anyone like to share any reflections on the Murli?
Om Shanti. What I took is Brahma Baba start of each era. He's the one who's at the beginning was the first person or the first soul in each yug. They're from Satyug straight down to Kali Yuga. And now he is the soul that starts the confluence age. And from what I'm hearing is that I concluded that Brahma Baba started the confluence age when Shiv Baba named him Brahma, and he had to complete that 100 years of the confluence age. And I believe that's what Shiv Baba is saying. Although he said he had to complete his 100 years of age, and they were not sure what is his 100 years of age anyhow, because in those days they didn't have proper birth certificates and all that. And another thing is visions, because I would say, Baba, give me some vision, give me something to hold on to. I would like to have something to hold on to. And now he's saying visions are not important because it will just sway you from the actual lessons that you have to learn, because you'll hold on to one specific thing. Although I think I had like about 2 or 3 visions in my own mind, not short, long-lived, but it's not as not what I feel that was powerful enough for me to hold on to in my meditation, to just focus on that. And I think that's what I would have done. And that's not what it's supposed to be. So given visions, like Baba say, we shouldn't desire visions. So I took those 2 things from the Murli this morning. Thank you so much. Om Shanti.
Good points. And you can understand why I'm so cautious about what Shiv Baba means by a year, because he's quite clearly said he'll complete his 100 years, and our years, it's more than that, right? So I'm always very cautious about projecting our own assumptions about what things mean onto what Shiv Baba is meaning. So yes, thank you for that. Would anyone else like to come in?
Exactly those 2 points that Sister Lynette mentioned, because I was a phase where I also would like to have something to hold on to that was more tangible for me. But indeed, Baba has mentioned often that visions can be misleading. So especially interpretation of those visions. What I also turned a lot of times is those 100 years, and I even asked Shailen by a couple of times. So I understand that he is very cautious of giving the meaning of the 100. But when I listen to Baba say Brahma has to complete his 100 years, what comes to mind is that Brahma is the alokik birth of this soul in the role that Shiv Baba gave him, so that the count of those years, irrespective of what Baba means with 1 year, would start from the moment that either Shiv Baba entered Brahma Baba or he named him Brahma Baba. So the count would not be his lokik birth. The count would start with his alokik birth, and we're not exactly sure when that was. We have a general idea. So I think when we take that into account, the 100 years that Baba talks about is still in effect. So I think everything is fine.
Thanks for sharing. Would anyone else like to come in?
We're not hearing you, Shailen Bhai.
Oh, would anyone else like to come in?
I'm hearing. Hi. Are you hearing Sharon Bhai again, Vikash Bhai?
Okay, I think everyone else can hear me.
Yes.
Now.
Om Shanti. I really like how Baba said that everything in drama is beneficial, is kalyankari. And that's something I firmly believe in, because Baba even says he becoming Avyakt is kalyankari for us. And I think it's like that because sometimes we think why we don't meet Baba in Sakar, but I believe it's kalyankari because it helps you to make effort to become subtle more faster so that you can experience the things. So indeed, I really like how Baba says everything is beneficial. It helps.
Yes, ultimately, this is a morally on faith. And I hope what came across to all of you is when Shiv Baba is the father, there's no margin for emotions here, right? You can clearly see from him that he expects the children to be powerful, to be knowledgeable, to be grown up, to be pushing on. So what's the problem? Why are you crying? He's like that with us, you know. Brahma Baba has that empathy as the mother because he's been a human being. But Shiv Baba looks at us and goes, "Come on, get a grip. You got everything you need. We're still here. No one's gone anywhere. Relax." And Jenti Ben always says that it was after Brahma became the angel that the Brahmins from the different countries came. And there's always someone having Amrit Vela at some time in the world. And so Brahma is always in Amrit Vela mode because there's no time in the subtle region. But he can always be there with every Brahmin in every time zone now. Cicely Ben, did you want to come in?
Yes, I agree with you, because when you think about these Murlis are revised Murlis, and look how long Baba's saying this destruction is going to happen soon, or establishment is going to happen soon. So there is no time frame. A year is not a year in Baba's consciousness. It's not a year. So we have to not think like, oh, Baba says in a year or 10 years or 15 years, we're counting. All right, we've got 10 years left of the confluence age now. I think we need to just drop that and just be ready for whatever it is. The other thing is, in the Murli, there was lots of love. Like I said, there was lots of love from Baba because he knows that it was needed then and it's always needed. But the mother always comes with a lot of love, right? Mother always comes with a lot of love. So he came with that energy of mother. So, and I remember when, I believe when it was Daddy Gulzar and when Daddy Janki left the body, he also said, well, who are you with? Are you with me? Or are you with Daddy Janki? Or are you Daddy Gulzar? Who are you with? So each time he has to remind us. So now we should be all professionals with that now, right? Om Shanti.
That's right. The eternal relationship, the eternal support. It's the lesson of the whole drama, isn't it? Wonderful. Well, thank you all very much for adding to today's discussion. And happy, what shall we call it? Avyakt Murli Day anniversary. So today is the happy Avyakt Day, if Avyakt Murlis began. So we got a chance today to go back to that time and to re-invoke those memories and those experiences. And what do we find? Equally relevant today. So all of those points still apply today. And so great to spend that day with you all. And later on, I'll put up some photographs from the funeral procession and you can think more about that. And next week, we'll read the Murli of the 23rd of January and you will get more flavor from those times. So all of you here live, thank you. And also warm greetings to those of you later on joining through the YouTube channel. And a happy Avyakt week for all of you. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Thank you and have a beautiful week.
Thank you. Om Shanti.